Hi, and welcome to the Data Strategy Gurus podcast. Today, we have again a very illuminated guest, Iain Brown. He works for a SAS company, an analytics company, already in the market since 1976. Hi, and welcome, Iain. Maybe you can tell me a bit more and the audience about what you're specifically doing at SAS.
Yeah, well, thank you for inviting me on it. As mentioned, I work for the leading AI organization, SAS Software. Alongside that, so I head up the data science team here. I also work still with universities, so I'm a lecturer, adjunct professor at Southampton University. And fundamentally, I run the division around data science. We focus across industries, have a highly skilled, highly technical group of people that I work alongside, much smarter and more accomplished than I am. And we help deliver value from AI, data science, machine learning, natural language processing like to all of our clients across the UK.
So yeah, you're using the data science team to develop the products or just see what are the use cases? Or how can I see you're heading up the data science team
Yeah,
at SAS?
so we're blessed to have a wide range of capabilities from a software provider. As you mentioned, we've been in business for over 40 years now, providing analytics and AI value through software and services to organizations across the globe. So my team obviously know the capabilities extremely well. We work very closely with our customers around understanding their use cases, their challenges. We run something called an AI value accelerator with most customers to really hone in on what data they have, what challenges from a business perspective they face, and how artificial intelligence can actually be used to solve those problems. Be it more standard supervised approaches where they have an outcome that they're trying to predict, like churn, for example, within the telco space where customers are leaving, or risk, someone's likelihood to default in the financial services sector, all the way through to some of those more unsupervised, more unstructured challenges where you've got data in any form from images, video, speech, all the way to text. And again, utilizing that information to generate insight, generate actionable decisions that an organization could then productionize, make best use of, and at the end of the day, service their customers better. Well,
Yeah, I mean, we know SAS a lot from the typical statistical models, very well known for these models. They have proven their value. We know they work. They're widely used in insurance industries, in banking, and so on. What did you see changing over the years, especially the last 11 years that you're with SAS, and maybe some changes to the product? I know SAS has always been pretty close. There was a comment on that. But I recall when I went to 2018 to one of the analytics conferences, they were slowly opening up and embracing open source. And what's your take on that? What you seen changing?
yeah, that's an interesting question to ask. As you mentioned, I've been at SAS over 11 years now. I've seen a lot of changes during my time. Actually, as an organization, we've offered capabilities around machine learning, deep learning models, neural networks specifically since the early 90s. So these are things to SAS that aren't necessarily new. What has changed, though, and to your question, is the availability of these capabilities and the ability to process in a much more democratized way and a much more cost efficient way with the rise of cloud computing, for example. It's made it easier for organizations to leverage these types of models, to leverage the data, which again has rapidly increased over the years, both in volume, variety, and velocity, all the V's of big data that we've seen over the last decade. That has enabled, and it is an enabler, organizations to start to do more with that. Again, there are challenges with this. And as you mentioned, we've always historically, going back a decade ago, been a bit more of a closed language. We've been proprietary. We've obviously had our own intellectual property that's been embedded in the tool set. But we've had to change as well. We've made our software much more open in the later releases to enable our customers to leverage the most out of their ecosystem. As mentioned, open source is extremely powerful. There's a lot of benefits around the community, around the flexibility, around the innovation that open source brings. But we still believe there's more need for support and governance and reliability when a business decision is made. And again, that's where we operate a lot with our customers today, is providing them that confidence that the decisions that they're making are supported, are reliable, are governed, are transparent and explainable in terms of the AI processes that they're running.
Yeah, you say governance. We talked about open source. Still recall somebody saying, "Yeah, I have about 50,000 programmers, open source, the complete community that is contributing." But on the other hand, like you say, there is a risk in there. I know as well that incompatibility between versions when you're deploying models, when you're using libraries between development and production, and that's why you support, if I well understand, your customers as well in either even looking at the solutions, what you need to build best and
Yes.
how to do that, if I quite well understand, and as well on the governance side. So
Yes.
how do you see the governance side, especially related to cloud and all the privacy related data which goes into the cloud?
Well, there's been much more scrutiny on that. We've had to, as an organization, we've dealt with regulations, legislation over the last 40 years, be it in the financial services sector or also in the healthcare sector, the pharmaceutical sector. This isn't necessarily anything new. What we have seen, though, is the rise of these applications across other sectors, other verticals that are less regulated, but again, need to still be robust and governed in terms of their decision-making process. Obviously, model ops, ML ops, AI ops, several different terms, and they're all slightly different, has risen alongside this. So being able to turn these complex problems and models into decisions and generating intelligence from those decisions is still a difficulty that a lot of organizations face, whether it's siloed, whether it's the issue around the right skills. As you mentioned, sometimes it takes a village to actually productionize these types of models, whether it's through the data engineers, the data scientists, or then the decision makers need to then action. And again, democratization goes both ways. There's the ability to potentially do more, but at the same time, it can bring more challenges to organizations to do the most with it. So they're the areas that we've helped and supported a lot of our customers on their journey of evolution. And as they've migrated to the cloud as well, being able to make that much more self-serve and accessible is key to that process, right? You need to be able to get access to these tools when you need them at the right time. You don't necessarily want a legacy architecture that's running in the background 24/7 anymore. You need something that's on demand. And these are challenges that we've addressed our customers now getting the benefits from as well.
You say that the typical architectures, and now you have more the analytics on demand. That definitely requires a different type of architecture, and that's where you step in and advise them on how to set up. Because I see that when I'm talking to peers in the field and other architects, that's still a big struggle. People are still thinking in traditional ways, even using cloud resources.
Yeah, again, this is an evolution rather than a revolution. We've been used to these monolithic technology stacks that have been housed in-house within a lot of organizations over the years, and big IT team and infrastructure around that to support it. Again, as we move forward, we see the need for a more dynamic approach, let's say. The ability to do this in a cost-effective way as well is just as important. Storing data costs money, processing data costs money. And organizations need to make the most of that if they are going to make those right decisions. And no one really wants to have data scientists building complex, clever approaches, but then they're not actually being deployed. It's not beneficial to the data scientists, not beneficial to the organizations. Putting in a route to live and a route to production is key for success on all sides. And again, they're areas that we see organizations still struggle with today, but there is a lot of change in the sector as well to make that easier, make that more cost effective, and make that process, in a lot of cases, not reliant on some of those skills or technical skills that we've had in the past. And things like low code, no code applications do help that around the data scientist issue, but also around making it more accessible across business analysts, others in the business that would also want to ingest some of this insight and make the most out of it as well.
Yeah, so analytics becomes more available to a widespread of roles within an organization, more cost efficient. If I hear you talking
Mm.
now, since beginning of this year, if I'm correct, SAS Viya is now available on the Azure Cloud.
Yes.
Do you see a bigger adoption being involved into different type of solutions? More people reaching out to SAS Viya to build their analytics?
It's certainly being available on these marketplaces makes that is much easier to get access to. This brings those capabilities. These capabilities, by the way, that are used by the biggest corporations in the world, are now accessible to anyone. Anyone can get those through the marketplace. So that's a big change from SaaS's perspective as well. That we're bringing the power of AI that we've had over the years to anybody, and we can all individually download or get access to our own marketplace. So I think that's important around the message of democratization in a governed platform, making it available. I mean, a lot of times also within data science, and I've been through this myself on a number of occasions, it's about testing, right? It's looking at ideas, failing fast, and being able to then decide on what you want to do to move forwards. And again, you don't want too many barriers in your way to do that. You want to make that as simple as possible and as easy as possible. We've got access to some data. I can spin up an environment. I can test my theory. If it doesn't work, I can turn it off again. If it does, I can then move it into a productionized process. Again, these are the types of things we see as important to the data science community, but also more important to organizations, leveraging the most out of their data and out of AI, inevitably moving forward.
So yeah, the possibility to quickly test a hypothesis, ramp it up, don't be dependent on 3 months, 6 months setup of your infrastructure, of your models, whatever. Just try it. If you know this is proven, then you still can move it into productization and having everything and the governance in place as it should be.
Yes.
That helps as well in yeah, the shortage of skills, as we typically call it, for data scientists, for data engineers, for MLOps engineers, AI engineers, whatever call it, the type of role, pretty technical.
Mm.
Uh, do you think that that will even accelerate the type of solutions what we will build in the future?
I hope so. I think the issue around data literacy, the data skills gap, is well known, and that's not just something we face in the UK. It's something it's global deficiency or gap between the skills that are needed and the skills that are available. So again, bridging that gap and making that much easier for all is going to be part of this process. Again, removing barriers to any organization wanting most out of AI, I believe is important. I think there's a lot of power in these approaches, in these methodologies that any organization can benefit from. So I think reducing that barrier to entry, reducing the reliance on, say myself, expensive data science resources, it can only help that and help innovation. And that's the big stride that we're making forward in the UK government on AI. Innovation is at the core of our future policies, around regulation, and making this available to all is part of what our approach is. Uh, like,
Yeah, what I see, I mean, you said like business now has access to experiment themselves, ramp it up, try the hypothesis and so on. Isn't there a bigger risk in even more models not making it into production? You typically see it your model runs on a laptop, and then you need to embed this in a process, have it constantly available, reliable, observable. But yeah, there is still a risk. I saw that in the past with typical BI solutions, cost solutions, that a great analyst has developed a model, but then they have a problem into moving it into production. Either it was a different technology stack, development, or just your laptop environment compared to the real production environment.
yeah, I think
What is SAS doing around that?
there's still a risk there. I mean, again, we're talking about ecosystems that have evolved over decades, and I don't think anyone would say there's a solution to all of that. I do think greater connectivity is important. Something that we went through a number of years ago now at SAS was to open up our code base, but also uh, base everything on an object-oriented modeling ecosystem, a bit similar to what open source does today. By that, you can then use things like APIs. APIs are very useful means of transporting information, connecting up devices and data and decisions together. And again, I think that's personally where a lot of this work will go around this API-driven economy. One of the other ways the small to medium-sized organizations we're starting to see benefit from this is not just around accessing the tools and capabilities themselves, but the way they partner with other organizations. And there's a lot of data science consultancy firms out there. We do consultancy ourselves that can actually provide this as a service type model, either that's hosted as a service, platform as a service, or actually delivering the answers or results of a model as a service with the skill sets that those organizations have. I think that's another way organizations should look to adopt this, as well as the rise of pre-trained AI, pre-trained models that are being delivered and deployed across the cloud ecosystem. They're already there, they work, they've been used to solve a challenge somewhere else, and then they could be redeployed again for challenges that your organization. So I think there is a more diversity here now than ever before around how AI is being adopted, used. But again, it's driven by that cloud behavior, that the ability to access things at any time, in any way, and then deploying it back into the system where they can.
Yeah, it's a complete different approach as well. A lot of IT organizations have been used to in the past. I mean, I had it in mind of building those composable architectures, and that you can plug in something else. A new model comes along, a new API comes along with new insights, which performs better, and you embed it. You saw that now coming with Chat GPT, where a lot of platforms are already integrated OpenAI into their interface, and the benefits out of that. So typically, that's what I see happening as well. What were kind of, if you say, well, can I name 3 use cases that wowed you in the last couple of years on analytics, that you say, wow, this is really great? What kind of insights they now have, which were not really possible before?
Yeah, I certainly, I've been very lucky, I always think, in the role that I'm in, to have been involved in a lot of innovative approaches and applications over the years, as well as now my team who have been involved in many of the data for good, AI for good initiatives run at SAS. I think personally, some of the stuff we've done on the data for good side is widely shared and published around the University College Dublin, and the work we've done on their AI Preemie program for preeclampsia diagnosis. And again, this is giving better time to recovery and an understanding of delivery times for pregnant mums that are going through a difficult time, using a mixture of natural language processing as well as computer vision imaging to take all of that data and provide feedback to the clinicians, feedback to those that are practicing from a doctor's perspective. It puts that data in their hands in a much easier to use form. And again, it's those types of applications that bring across multiple different data and multiple different end users who traditionally may not have had any experience of AI before. I think that's really something special when that comes together and works. And again, we've seen similar things on child protection side, some of the stuff that we're releasing at the moment, enabling investigators to investigate risky communications between children. Again, that's processing large volumes of unstructured data, large volumes of information that's being created in real time in most cases, being able to understand that, filter that, and then provide those flags and those risks back to those police officers that can then handle that situation and then make a decision and action based on it. And again, this is more of an augmentation. It's not making the final decision by the model, but it's providing us as humans more insight to make an informed decision on it. I think that's key as well around the message of AI. It's helping us do our job better, and those that need that information than it is replacing people. And then even on the risk side, so if it was to give a third one, I have a credit risk type background. I used to work my financial service provider before I joined SAS. Even in that space, we're seeing dramatic increases in the application of more modern, more accurate machine learning methodologies that are still open and transparent and explainable, and actually, in some cases, reduce bias because they are able to understand the relationships in the data much better. But the most important thing is they improve accuracy. They make it helps banks make the right decision at the right time for their customers, whether to offer them a loan, and if they do offer them a loan, how much loan is appropriate for that particular candidate. So again, something that can benefit all of us is if organizations use that data to personalize their offerings to us, to understand our behavior at the granular level. I think we can all, as a society, benefit and reduce risk from the bad use of information.
It's just the other way around. I mean, the mistrust in AI, we're all afraid that it's going to replace, well, a lot of people are afraid that it is going to replace the human. But the way you say it's just going to counterfight the risk, which is in misusing either technology, misusing, if you just follow the dialogues and use NLP to identify the relationships between what is being said. And that's a new type of insight, which was never possible at this scale.
Definitely. And obviously I'm a bit of an AI optimist myself, as you can probably expect, but I do truly believe that. I believe this is a tool. It's a tool for us to use, and it can be used in a good way. It could be used in a not so good way. And I think that the benefit here is for us to be aware and to be informed and to understand. I think everyone, all of society, is getting more informed about the benefits and also the risks of AI moving forward. You mentioned ChatGPT. I think the way that OpenAI doing is excellent in informing society as to what is a possibility, and also making it easy and accessible to everyone. And again, I think they're the ways in which AI should be looked. Shouldn't be feared. It should be embraced. But an understanding is needed from everyone as to what it can do or what it should and shouldn't.
Yeah, I think just really showing the examples and the benefits, and that you need to transition. I just read a white paper on one of the Harvard professors that used to chat GPT to do the exams.
Yes.
And well, it scored about 80%. It was not good on mathematics, but just the reasoning and everything behind that. It brought me back to one of the debates I saw with IBM Watson back in the days. It's been 5-6 years, but if you see at what speed this technology has evolved, it's amazing. And it's just like you, I'm pretty positive and augmenting our capabilities and being more productive and applying that.
And we're still at early stages of this. Well, even with ChatGPT, the architecture, the generative algorithm it's based upon is going to be re-released. There's a new GPT-4 due to land this year. So a lot of this we're still even early stages of. And I think that's exciting in its own right. There is more to come from all of this. Again, the importance is to have that thought around governance and the expectation of what it should and shouldn't do, and being transparent. All organizations need to be transparent. And if they're making decisions that they can't explain to themselves, I would say that is a risky use of AI. If you can't understand it yourself, how is anyone going to understand it when you come to make that decision? And that's where the accountability, I believe, really lies as well. It's who is making that decision, and are they accountable, and do they feel accountable for that decision, given the approach that they're using? So all of this comes into the mix. And I think we'll see evolutions of this over time, and how regulations unfortunately catch up to it as well. So a pragmatic approach around the use of this should also be considered at this time as well.
Yeah, I don't think that there is so much different, and that is only related to AI. Still, I mean, traditional systems, legacy systems, it's not always easy to explain how they come to the insights as well, because it has been running. Everybody that has knowledge about the systems has left the company, has retired, whatever. So for me, it's kind of, adapt to it. And you just at this scale, the AI can explain itself if we program it to do in such a way.
Yeah. And I think the conscious decision around how you feed the AI moving forward, we've all, it's a phrase that I'm sure you're familiar with and we've used for many years, of garbage in, garbage out. And the data that's being used to train these algorithms is crucial to all of this process. And again, there should always be that consideration around what are you using to build the model. I think all of us should be considerate of what data we provide these models as well, and who are the custodians of data and what that data is going to be used for. I think that will change over time. I think that next generations may be more, um, they'll value more the data they have and the data they provide. And I think this will affect how AI is adopted and used as well. If there's a mutual benefit to the user and the receiver, I think that will flourish. If one side gets more benefit than the other, I think that it's also at a detriment to what AI as well. So all of these things for consideration in the future.
Yeah, and you see AI being used for art and creating images and so on. Even some experiments in creating music, which is one of my favorite topics
Okay.
next to data
Yeah.
and AI as well. Maybe to wrap up this conversation, what is your favorite band of or favorite type of music, Ian?
Wow, it's a good question. Unfortunately, unlike yourself, I'm not a great musician. I've tried over the years, but I go back to always into rock, alternative rock in my youth. The likes of Foo Fighters, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Muse, those types of bands. I think I maybe consider dad rock now. I don't know, but they're the bands that I always used to listen to. I still follow even to this day.
Well, they're still performing. We have a festival in Belgium
Okay.
called Rock Werchter,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
I think every kind of year they come and present. Even this year, Muse is coming again. Red Hot Chili Peppers, so still well known, and you see still the traditional stuff sticks with a lot of people and talks to a lot of people. Ian, if people want to reach out to you online, how can they connect with you?
Yeah, I'm always open to connecting. I can be found on LinkedIn. I have a quite active Twitter presence, and as a start of this year, I've also picked up my roots in blogging. I used to blog quite regularly. I'm now using Medium as a platform to do that. So I'm always interested to connect, share ideas, and share thoughts on the topics of anything related to data science, artificial intelligence.
Okay, Ian, thanks very much for this conversation. It was great talking to you. And yeah, let's keep connected online.
Definitely, my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me on.